I'm Cim MacDonald, and I live in Chemainus. Well, I've been taking pictures down at any beach I can find for as long as I can remember. I've always been a beach person. But what happened with the pandemic, which was a surprise to me, is that there was no one on the beach at all. Maybe just the odd person and stuff. So I thought, wow, this is great. So I went down and I started getting to know the birds, and they started to be perfectly fine with me being around, and I got some awesome pictures of things I would have never caught if there was lots of people. Gulls and birds and stuff weren't afraid of me because I was very quiet when I went up to talk to them or take their picture. And they got used to me because I did it every night at low tide. Every night I'd go there and they'd practically walk all over me and just not bother and do whatever it was they wanted to do. And I found out so much more than I would have ever found out any other way. For years I've taken pictures of birds, but never how they interact with each other. I think animals and birds don't seem to be afraid of me. I can seem to go up and be close to them, and I guess it's because I'm quiet. They react nicely. They're not afraid of me. I think that the behavior of the wildlife changed a lot during COVID because they weren't afraid to be there, so there were a lot more birds came. And I think that was the main reason, is that it was like a place of paradise for them now. And not since then, it's gone back. I haven't seen as many birds. I doubt very much if I'll get the same I got with the oyster catchers. I doubt that. And I don't think I'll be able to see the gulls do that. I mean, I catch them catching fish and doing something like that, but not an intimate relationship. The intimacy of the seagulls, I've never seen them nuzzle each other. I've never seen that happen before. And feed each other. And maybe somebody's seen that, but I hadn't seen that. The things I miss about when the pandemic was in full steam was the fact that I was on the beach by myself, pretty much all alone, and didn't have to worry about anybody getting in anybody's way or somebody coming along and interrupting what the birds were doing, or if they were catching a fish, or even whatever else they were doing. They got to know me. I know they did, because they wouldn't have ever let me that close if there wasn't some kind of trust between us. I think the birds had a lot of trust in who I was, and the fact that I wasn't a threat and I wasn't going to take their food, I wasn't going to hurt them or do anything like that. I think they knew that. I think if you really wanted to get to know them intimately, it takes time. It's like a person. You can't just walk up to somebody and be an instant friend. It takes a period of time that they see you and know you and get to know you and feel safe around you. During the height of the pandemic, I have to say that I didn't feel depressed particularly, and I couldn't be around people that much, but it was great to have the beach, to be able to go down and just be with nature. And even if I didn't get a bird picture, I'd walk all the way along to the end of the beach and look at the starfish or the sand dollars. One thing I noticed with the seagulls is they stomp in the water, and I thought, I couldn't figure out, what are you doing? He was standing there and he would stomp, 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 because you could tell because of all the rings around him. And what they were doing, what it did, is pulled up shells. He got clams that way, and the next thing he would duck his head down and come roaring out with this great big shell, and then he would run along the water with it and fly up in the air and then drop it on the beach so that he could crack open the shell and eat what was inside. During the pandemic, I was mostly in Chemainus area, between what's called Bear Point, Chemainus Beach. Bear Point was a really interesting spot, and I didn't always catch anything at all, but it was just something would say to me, okay, why don't you go there and have a look? So one day I was there and I hopped out of the car and I thought, I can hear crunching. What the heck's, what's that? And I looked over the bank and here's an otter eating a crab. And I thought, oh, all righty. So I started shooting him, and he didn't even care that I was standing up there. I kept following along to see what he would do, and he ate everything. Almost didn't leave he left the shell, that was it. So then he went back out into the water and came back up with another great big crab. So I got pictures of him swimming with this crab, which was just amazing. And then he brought that up on the beach and shook himself off and ate that. I went up to Piper's Lagoon. Some friends of mine hadn't ever been there, and I said, well, you're in for a treat. And so up we went, and of course you had to be 6 feet apart or more apart, and up there it was fine because it was very spread out. And we walked around the island, and we got to the far side where all the shacks are, and we thought, well, we'll just sit on a log and relax for a minute. And a heron flew over and landed 10, 15 feet in front of us. Usually I see them go do that and they're getting a fish or some such thing. Well, he went into his great I'll kill you stance and came up with this snake. And I went, whoa, it was huge. And it actually took him a long time before he actually had it and flew away with it, but it actually had wrapped itself around a rock, and you can see it pulling, not to get pulled away, but it didn't work. And I found out afterwards that it was called a western terrestrial snake. It was not a garter snake. And they swim, and that's the first time I've ever seen one of those. During COVID, I found myself down on the beach a lot, and because of that, with just me and my camera, I was able to get a lot of interesting shots, and it improved my photography because I could start to slow down and just take a good look at what it was I was actually taking pictures of. It has helped what I see and how I see.